25 years later, the untold truth about the widow who adopted the unwanted twins. In a sleepy little town, whispers floated like fog through the streets, curious and tangled about a woman who defied every societal norm. Her name was Clara Adams. 25 years ago, she stepped into a world of shadows, embracing two children no one else dared to touch. The twins were labeled as unwanted, but to Clara, they were precious gems buried in mud. Just a glance at her worn clapboard house sent shivers through the spine. It creaked like a wounded soul holding dark secrets behind its doors. Year after year, the town watched with a mix of horror and fascination. Clara was a mystery wrapped in a riddle. They said she spoke to the twins in hushed tones, her eyes flaring with a madness that sent chills down your back. What could she possibly be telling them? Was it the secrets that turned her hair gray, or was it the weight of the world that seemed to rest on her bony shoulders? They speculated. They gossiped. But they never dared to walk up her path. What lay behind those peeling walls? Late at night, strange noises echoed through the darkness, unsettling sounds that made the hairs stand straight on people's arms. The neighbors reported whispers carried on the wind, the sound of laughter that sent chills racing down their spines. But Clara's house, draped in uncertainty, remained an enigma to all. One fateful evening, carved deep in memory, lights flickered within, sending pulses of color that danced like restless spirits. An onlooker caught sight of a shadow passing by the window. The twins? The very thought sent a cold tremor drifting through the air. Here was the question nobody dared to ask: what really happened to those children? Did Clara's obsession hold them captive, or was she trying to protect them from a world that had turned its back? Attention hung heavy in the air like a loaded gun, waiting for someone to pull the trigger. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Then came the day it all unraveled. A storm swept through town. Trees bended and shattered, winds howled like grief-stricken banshees. And amidst this chaos, a scream pierced the air, familiar yet alien. It echoed through the streets, as the sky itself seemed to hold its breath. Was it Clara? Was it the twins? The townsfolk gathered, their eyes filled with worry, while their breaths quickened in anticipation. There was something extraordinary brewing in that house, something that would bind their fates forever. What had become of Clara and those twins on that fateful night? As thunder crashed and the storm raged, a terrible truth loomed just around the corner, begging to be uncovered. What was hidden behind those walls, waiting to be found? The storm raged on, an orchestra of thunder and wind playing a symphony of chaos. Clara's house, once an isolated silhouette against the dim sky, stood even taller, looming like a monolith unfazed by the pandemonium surrounding it. But something was shifting within those walls, something feral and wild. As the townspeople huddled close together, exchanging frightened glances, they heard another sound, a low, haunting wail that rippled through the air like a whisper of the night. It seemed to rise from the very foundation of Clara's home. That's got to be Clara. Someone shouted, clutching their neighbor's arm as they glanced nervously at the distant flicker of lights spilling from the windows, catching shadows in their grasp. But what really lay behind that door? Was it grief? Madness? Or something altogether darker? They all asked themselves, hearts thumping, an adrenaline-fueled curiosity churning beneath their anxiety. They felt it. The pull. How could they resist? The wind howled as Clara rushed towards the entrance, her hands trembling. She threw open the door with a force that made the neighbors flinch, revealing a scene that sent chills racing down spines. The twins stood in the dim light, their hair wild and eyes wide, reflecting a mix of fear and something else, something more profound. A flicker of recognition flashed across Clara's face, but it was quickly swallowed by uncertainty. "Where were you?" Her voice cracked, a mix of love and desperation pouring out of her. They moved towards her, but the fear rooted Clara to her spot, and she hesitated. The storm screamed behind her, a roaring voice trying to drown out the echo of a truth threatening to surface. Suddenly, the twins turned their heads in unison, gazing past Clara, into the storm, a strange understanding rippling between them. It was as if they were connected to the chaos, as if the wind spoke a language they alone could decipher. A glimpse of something, a shadow perhaps, moved outside, and their innocent eyes darkened, the laughter that once rang freely trapped under a shroud of unnatural fear. From the fringes of the storm, another figure appeared, staggering forward from the shadows, something primal yet unfathomably familiar. The townsfolk gasped as the outline of a man emerged, drenched and ghostly, eyes gleaming unnaturally bright against the backdrop of the storm's fury. Clara's breath caught in her throat, a sinister recognition clawing at her insides. "David," she whispered, as her mind flooded with memories buried deep, unforgotten, yet fervently fought against. The man took a step closer, shaking with the weight of something unsaid hanging thick in the air. The very ground seemed to vibrate with the tension that rippled through Clara, a mix of dread and hope twisting inside her. What had he come for? Was he the catalyst, the missing piece that would unravel the tangled threads of their lives, or had he returned with a vengeance to reclaim what was lost? With one shuddering breath, Clara summoned all her courage and stepped towards him, demanding with her eyes, "What do you want?" The townsfolk, holding their breaths, watched as the drama unfolded like a slow-motion dream, the storm's rage echoing their fears. Secrets lay heavy in the air, begging to be unleashed. Then, just as the winds howled in approval, the man opened his mouth to speak, a sound that could change everything. What truth lingered in this nightmare? And would Clara dare confront the shadows lurking in her past? The answers lay just within reach, but would they shatter her world in the process? David's lips parted, and in that split second, the world felt like it hung in the balance. The murmur of the storm faded, replaced by the frantic beating of Clara's heart. She held her breath, her fists clenching at her sides as she prepared for the revelation that could shatter everything. "Clara," he breathed, the word escaping him like a long-buried secret. "I came back because they need to know." "You need to know." The twins flinched, their eyes flickering from their mother to this ghost from another life. And even the townsfolk, witnessing the scene unfold, could sense the weight of unspoken history wrapping around them like the tempest outside. "What are you talking about?" Clara's voice was a strained whisper, barely audible above the winds that howled like banshees. "Who needs to know what?" "David, you disappeared. You left me. You left us." His face twisted with pain. "I thought I was protecting you, protecting them. But that was a lie. I see that now. Stop." Clara shouted, her frustration mingling with fear. "Stop trying to make this right. You can't just waltz back in and pretend everything's fine after all these years. I lost everything because of you." The wind whipped through the doorway, causing the twins to shudder. They seemed caught between a yearning for answers and the instinct to flee. Their tiny hands reached for Clara, who remained frozen in a whirlwind of emotions. Love, anger, betrayal, they all intermingled, threatening to erupt. "What are you hiding from them?" David pressed, stepping forward as if he could close the distance with words alone. "It's about their father and why I left that night." A gasp echoed from the crowd behind Clara. She could feel their eyes boring into her back, a reminder of how much they had watched, how much they had speculated. "No, David, I don't want to hear it. Not now." But David, undeterred, continued, "They have a right to know the truth. They need to understand what's coming. The danger, it's greater than before." The storm roared, thickening the tension. Beyond David, the wind began to change, a different energy crackling in the air. Clara's heart raced. What kind of danger? And what could this untold truth mean for her children? The twins finally took a step forward, braving the storm that swirled in their home. "Mom, who is he to us?" Their voices cut through the chaos, innocent and filled with a desperate search for identity. Clara turned to face them, tears blurring her gaze. David leaned in closer, his silhouette cloaked by the raging storm, and the air seemed to pulse with anticipation. "You were never just a choice, Clara. You are part of something unexpected. You were always meant to know." Clara clenched her jaw, a knot of dread forming in her stomach. Would this revelation rip their fragile family apart? With all eyes on her, she took a deep breath, a war of emotions brewing inside. "What do you mean?" she demanded, her voice cracking under the weight of the unknown. And just like that, the wind howled louder, drowning out their words. In that moment, the earth trembled beneath them, as if the storm was a sentient force, ready to reveal secrets kept too long in silence. Before anyone could grasp the momentum of what was happening, shadows danced at the edge of the storm, shifting and merging. Something was coming. The past, the truth, it was all colliding in a disastrous crescendo. "Clara," came David's voice, urgent and raw. "You have to trust me." Clara stood torn between the past's haunting echoes and her present's sheltering love. What was the price of trust? Would it cost her the only family she had fought to protect? As the wind screamed in fury, one simple truth hung in the air: were the twins truly safe, or had she drawn them into a danger even she couldn't begin to understand? And as she looked into David's eyes, a chilling realization dawned on her. Some secrets refuse to die quietly, and this was just the beginning. What awaited them on the other side of this storm? A crack of thunder echoed through the night, juxtaposed against the fragile silence hanging within the room. Clara's heartbeat thundered in her ears as she faced David, the shadows shifting around them like restless spirits. "What danger?" Her voice trembled, mixing dread with a desperate need for answers. The twins pressed closer to her, their small bodies radiating innocence and fear, clutching at her skirt like it would shield them from whatever lay ahead. "You don't know," David started, but the storm roared back, swallowing his words whole. His face, haunted and pleading, implored Clara to understand, to connect the pieces of a puzzle shrouded in loss and fear. "Tell me," she shouted, raw emotion coursing through her. "What have you done? What did you leave behind?" This wasn't just about them anymore. The urgency seeped into her bones. She had fought to create a safe environment for her children. Had it all been for nothing? David stepped closer, his presence a chaotic mixture of warmth and dread. "It wasn't just about protecting you. It was about the gifts you didn't know you had. The power that runs through your veins, the legacy." "Stop." Clara cut him off, shaking her head in disbelief. "A legacy? My children are not pawns in some grand game, David. What are you talking about?" "Clara," he whispered, a flicker of desperation crossing his features. The storm outside crescendoed in the background, an ominous beat that matched the rhythm of the moment. "You need to understand the truth of their father." "It's dangerous." Before he could finish, the wind surged through the doorway, knocking a vase off a shelf. It shattered on impact. The twins gasped, and Clara's heart jumped, fear spiraling. "No!" she cried out instinctively, instinct kicking in to protect them. "Clara, listen to me." David stepped forward, his voice cutting through the storm like a blade. "They're targeted because of who they are. Because of the legacy you share. You might think you're just a widow with twins, but there's so much more at stake." In that instant, a flicker of understanding coursed through her. "What do you mean? What do you know about their father?" David's gaze darkened. "He wasn't just a man who disappeared, Clara. He was part of something bigger, an ancient pact that binds families like ours." Clara's legs felt like jelly, her thoughts racing in overdrive. "Ancient? Pact?" She pushed down the rising tide of confusion threatening to drown her. "What are you saying? Your children have abilities, powerful ones. And there are those who want to control that power. The words hung in the air like a suspended thread. Clara's heart slammed in her chest as the storm matched her turmoil with a fury of wind and rain. No. No. This is madness. Behind her, the twins watched with wide, confused eyes, their innocence juxtaposed against a backdrop of chaos. "Mom, what's happening?" one of them whispered, reaching out for her, grounding her amidst the storm. Clara felt the weight of their trust press against her. "Nothing's happening," she said, her voice steadier than her heart felt. "Everything will be okay." But doubt clawed at her insides. Could she truly keep them safe? Just then, a sharp crack pierced the air, and the lights flickered. Clara spun around to see something racing through the shadows outside, dark and menacing. A flash of movement, a figure slipping through the chaos of the storm. "They're coming," David said, urgency lacing his voice. "Clara, you need to decide now. Will you trust me and protect the twins, or will you turn away and let the darkness find you?" As the very walls around them trembled, Clara's mind raced. The storm screamed louder, echoing the fury of her thoughts. She faced David once more, seconds stretching into eternity. The storm outside raged on, ominous and unyielding. Would she dare accept a history that might threaten everything she loved? "Clara." David's plea broke through her hesitation. "You must protect them." The question burned within her. Was she ready to face whatever secrets the storm threatened to unveil? And as she stood defeated by indecision, the wind howled, the lights dimmed, and somewhere far away, thunder cracked like fate itself. What lay in wait beyond the storm? The wind screamed, rattling the windows like a chorus of tortured souls. Clara's heart raced, pounding fiercely in her chest as David held her gaze. The shadows seemed to grow bolder, encroaching on their sanctuary as the tension filled the room like a suffocating fog. "Clara, please." David's voice cut through the chaos, desperation palpable. "You need to believe me. They're in danger, and if we don't act now." The words hung in the air, a dark warning that twisted her stomach into knots. Clara's mind fought against the rising tide of panic. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about the twins and the threat he spoke of. "What do you suggest we do?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper, the fear creeping into every corner of her heart. David glanced at the door, his expression hardening. "We leave. Now. They can track us, but if we act quickly, we can lose them in the storm. I know a place, the old cabin in the woods. It's been untouched for years. No one will think to look for us there." "Leave?" Clara felt a cold shiver race down her spine. "David, you can't be serious. What about my life here? The twins, what will they think? I can't just uproot everything." A tremendous crack of thunder rattled the house, as if nature itself was echoing her reluctance. She turned, her eyes darting to the twins, still clutching each other. In that moment of uncertainty, all Clara could think of was their fragile innocence. "Mom?" Hopeful eyes met hers, small hands reaching out. "Are we going?" Clara knelt, pulling them close. "Listen, sweethearts, I need you to be brave for me. There's a storm outside, one we need to protect ourselves from." "What storm?" "The rain?" The twins echoed, their voices innocent yet laced with worry. The reality that their world was changing crashed down on her like an unrelenting wave. "No, love. Not just weather. A different kind of storm." David stepped closer, urgency simmering in his features. "Clara, we have no time. You need to decide. We can't let them find us. Not now." Her heart wrestled against her mind. In the depths of her intuition, ideas battled. The loyal mother instinct wanted to protect her children, while the echo of her social responsibilities clung tight. How had her life twisted into this web of danger? "What if you're wrong?" Clara's voice trembled, the words barely escaping. "What if it's just stories? What if they're not stories?" David snapped, eyes wild. Your children are more than you know. You can't protect them just by staying put. The storm intensified, rattling the very walls around them. With every moment that ticked away, the sense of dread deepened. Clara inhaled sharply, fear clawing at her throat. Could she really gamble with everything she held dear? Suddenly, the lights flickered one last time before plunging them into darkness. Panic surged as Clara grabbed the twins, holding them tight against her, engulfed in shadows. Stay close, she instructed, feeling the weight of their small forms against her. A distant thud sounded against the front door, shaking the frame. Footsteps echoed from outside, deliberate and predatory, the heralds of the darkness David had foretold. Mom? The twins chorused, confusion mingling with fear. Stay with me, she urged, but her voice felt small against the impending threat. David's face paled as he turned toward the door, his expression a mix of fear and resolve. They're here. You must trust me now, Clara. This is it. In that instant, Clara's resolve hardened. She wasn't just a widow anymore. She was a mother fighting to protect her children. Let us go, she said, determination igniting within her. But before they could move, the door burst open, the howling wind carrying an unnatural chill that froze them in place. A tall figure loomed in the threshold, silhouetted against the raging storm outside. The air was thick with tension, an ominous aura radiating from the dark intruder, and just as Clara's heart slipped into a chasm of dread, the figure spoke, its voice low and guttural. You made a grave mistake coming back, Clara. The darkness has returned for what is rightfully ours. Are you ready for the truth? The storm raged on, but within her, a different kind of storm began to brew, one filled with anger, fear, and the undeniable urge to fight. What truth could possibly justify such terror? Clara's thoughts cascaded, her mind racing like the tempest outside, leaving her bracing for the inevitable clash that loomed ahead. Would she uncover the secrets that were buried deep, or be consumed by the darkness that sought to reclaim its own? The night had only just begun. The wind howled, almost as if it were a sentient being, mocking Clara's moment of weakness. Her body stiffened, adrenaline surging through her veins. The silhouette at the door took a step forward, the dim light revealing a face obscured by shadows. A bone-chilling smile stretched across the intruder's lips. Are you going to let them go? The figure's voice dripped with malice. Clara felt the twins clutch her tighter, their little bodies trembling. She glanced at David, who stood frozen, a ghost of uncertainty passing across his face. We can't let them in, he whispered, his demeanor shifting from urgency to fear. Who are you? Clara managed to bark, forcing her voice above the relentless storm that battered the cabin. What do you want? The intruder chuckled, a low, haunting sound echoing through the room. You already know, Clara. You've tried so hard to bury it, but the past has a way of clawing its way back, doesn't it? You think you can protect them from the truth? Behind the figure, shadows began to ripple and swirl as if responding to its words. An oppressive weight filled the space, shrouding them in dread. Mom! Emma's voice squeaked, high-pitched with fear. Clara pressed a protective arm around both her children, feeling the heat of their fear radiate against her skin. Stay behind me, Clara said, trying to infuse strength into her tone. She could see the flame of determination flicker in David's eyes, but the threat before them poured cold water on any hopeful flickers. Do you really believe you can hide them? The figure continued, eyes gleaming. You think you're doing this for their safety, but your cowardice will only bring them closer to the darkness. Shut up! David shouted suddenly, stepping forward, fists clenched. You'll never touch them. Touch them? The intruder leaned back, feigning innocence. I only wish to enlighten them about their lineage. The twins have blood ties to a lineage far more powerful than yours. Clara's heart sank as she felt the walls of her sanity closing in. What are you talking about? She demanded, tears of frustration burning her eyes. Surely this wasn't real. Surely she could wake from this nightmare. Oh, Clara, the figure taunted. You're not ready to hear the truth, but they are. The darkness is not their enemy, it's their birthright. Enough. Clara screamed, the sound cracking through her panic. We're leaving. You will not come any closer. But as she turned toward the back door, her heart sank further. Outside, the storm swirled violently, branches snapping like bones. She felt trapped by the storm, the winds a violent messenger warning her not to step forward or risk losing everything. Suddenly, Clara caught movement at the window. Multiple shadows danced, each more ominous than the last. They were not alone. Mom? Jack's voice whimpered, mischief replaced by terror. Are they friends? Clara's stomach curled into a tight knot. No, sweetheart. They're not friends. Her voice faltered, trying to reassure him even as her own heart raced. They want to hurt us. In more ways than you can imagine, the intruder said, taking another step forward, unfazed by Clara's courage. You're fighting against fate itself. With each passing moment, Clara could feel the weight of generations pressing down on her. The storm was closing in, and there was no place left to run. Make a choice, Clara, the figure said, its voice dripping with venom. Your past, or your children's future. The ultimatum sliced through her, awakening a primal instinct. She felt a surge of determination. I choose my children. She yelled, adrenaline amplifying her resolve, but just as she reached for the door, a deafening crash echoed, and the lights flickered back on. The shadows lurched forward, taking form, figures cloaked in darkness pouring into the room. Now, we begin, the intruder said, a wicked smile stretched across its lips. Clara stood frozen, fear pulsing through her veins, regret clawing at her heart. What had she gotten them into? And deep down, a question loomed larger than the storm. What were the twins truly capable of? The night stretched on, filled with a storm of truths waiting to be uncovered. Would Clara face the tempest, or would darkness truly claim its own? Clara's heart pounded like a drum in her ears, drowning out the thunder outside. The figures at the door blurred and twisted, their faces hidden beneath hoods that seemed to absorb the feeble light. Shadows flickered along the walls, whispering the dark secrets of the past, secrets she had tried so desperately to keep buried. Clara, the intruder drawled, stepping closer still, its eyes gleaming with malice. You think you've chosen the right path, but your heart lies. This isn't just about your children. It's about the legacy that connects us all, the legacy you can't escape. Enough. David shouted, adrenaline fueling his bravery. He grabbed Clara's arm, signaling her to stay behind him. We're not afraid of you. Just leave us alone. But as the intruder laughed, the sound echoed like ice cracking. The cloaked figures moved forward, and Clara could sense a malevolence akin to a predator circling its prey. The air grew heavy with tension, suffocating, every breath a fight for survival. Do you see, Clara? The figure pointed toward the twins, whose wide eyes darted between their parents and the intruders. They're the key. This isn't just a matter of blood, it's about power. Power they inherit by birth. Shut your mouth. Clara's voice shook, her body tense and ready to spring into action. You have no right to. I have every right, the figure interrupted, unfurling its arms dramatically. You think this is a choice? You think you can shield them forever from the truth? The darkness resides within them. Without guidance, they are lost. As it spoke, Clara could almost feel the echoes of ancient voices clawing to break free, threatening to spill from her children's mouths. What had she brought into their lives? With shaking hands, Clara turned to the twins, who huddled together, shadows wrapping around them like a cocoon. Emma's blue eyes were brimming with fear, while Jack wore an expression of defiance. The sight of their innocence against the looming threat sparked something deep within Clara, reigniting a flicker of hope. We'll find a way to protect you, she whispered fiercely, her voice trembling with both fear and maternal strength. "I won't let them near you, I promise." The intruder laughed, its voice dripping with mockery, slicing through the storm's howls. "Oh, Clara, you can't even protect yourself. Facing your past means facing the truth, eventually. Your twins will either embrace it, or you will pay the price." In that moment, the walls seemed to pulse, alive with energy both dark and twisting. Clara felt a rush of chilling air seep through her skin, drawing her to the shadows surrounding her. She could sense their whispers calling out, urging her to acknowledge the connection she had tried to forget. "Mom?" Jack's small voice broke through the turmoil. "What's happening? Are we going to be okay?" Clara's heart twisted. The battle inside her raged. Should she confront her past and drag her children into a world of unknown shadows? Or should she sink deeper into the mire of denial? As the figures advanced, Clara gritted her teeth, resolve hardening. "You want the truth?" she shouted defiantly, pushing David back slightly to create distance between the twins and the encroaching darkness. "Then let us find out what it really means for us to confront it." The intruder paused, surprise flitting across its features. "Ah, Clara. You've chosen wisely, or perhaps unwisely. But the path you now tread will reveal everything who you are, and what they are destined to become." Suddenly, a crash echoed from outside, and the storm surged with newfound ferocity. The lights flickered wildly, illuminating the room in fits and starts, casting horrific shadows against the walls. "What was that?" Emma squealed, gripping Jack's hand tightly. Clara's breath hitched. "I don't know, but we have to get out of here. Now." As they rushed towards the door, uncertainty gripped Clara. Each step felt like heading deeper into a darkness she had tried to escape. Whatever lay ahead, she understood one thing: they were closer to the truth than ever before, and there was no turning back. But who would emerge from the storm unscathed? Only one thing was certain: daring to face it could change everything for her family. Will Clara's choice bring them salvation, or will the darkness envelop them all? Rain poured from the sky, a relentless barrage that echoed against the walls, amplifying the tension in the air. Clara pushed through the heavy door, adrenaline coursing through her veins. David ushered the twins outside, a frantic urgency etched across his face. "Stay close," he barked, glancing over his shoulder, searching the shadows that clung to the corners of the house like thieves. Clara hesitated, taking a quick look back, her heart pounding, torn between leading her family to safety and confronting the nightmare behind them. The intruder's warning echoed in her mind, its voice a chilling reminder of the power lurking just beyond the threshold. The storm raged on, wind whipping through the trees, branches bending under the weight of the freak tempest. Clara stumbled forward, clawing at the rain-soaked ground for footing as she herded her children toward the shelter of the nearby barn, a structure that had long stood as a remnant of better days. "Mom!" Emma cried, eyes wide with terror. "What's happening? I'm scared." Clara turned, her heart breaking at the sight of her daughter's fear. "I know, honey. Just hold on tight to Jack, okay?" They ducked into the barn, its dank, musty smell a sharp contrast to the fresh rain. Clara slammed the door behind them, the wood creaking as it groaned against the wind. The interior was dark, illuminated only by flashes of lightning that revealed hay bales stacked haphazardly and tools from farming days long gone. "Let us find a safe spot," David said, peering through the tiny cracks in the wooden structure. The pounding of raindrops masked their voices, creating a cacophony that intensified the fear. Clara's pulse raced as she scanned the dim surroundings. "What do we do now?" "I don't know," he replied, the vulnerability in his voice a stark contrast to the bravado he had shown before. "But we can't go back. Not now." The barn shuddered, an ominous creak tearing through the air, and in that instant, Clara felt it an unshakable sense that they weren't alone. Shadows darted in and out within the darkness, twisting and writhing as if something ancient was awakening. "Did you see that?" Clara whispered, her breath hitching as dread clawed at her throat. David's eyes widened as he turned to face her. What? What did you see? But before she could answer, a deafening crash erupted from outside, followed by an unsettling silence. Clara's heart raced. We need to hide, she urged, her instincts kicking in. She led the twins behind a stack of hay bales, her body instinctively shielding them. Mom, I can't see, Jack whimpered. Just stay quiet, she urged, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm in her chest, each beat echoing the fear she fought to contain. As silence fell, broken only by the soft patter of rain, a figure appeared in the doorway, a shadow emerging against the storm's light. Clara held her breath, her body tense and poised, every muscle ready to act. Clara, the voice called, eerily familiar yet shrouded in darkness. Are you really willing to confront what's out there? Clara's pulse raced, the voice sent chills down her spine. Who are you? She demanded, inching closer to the twins, ready to protect them at all costs. The figure stepped forward, lightning illuminating a haunting face, a mask of familiarity entwined with twisted malice. You should have faced the truth when you had the chance. Time froze, and Clara felt the walls of the barn tremble around her. Her breath caught as the figure gestured toward her children. They are the key, Clara. The time has come. As the barn creaked ominously, Clara's world spiraled into uncertainty. Would she have to confront the darkness of her own past to save her children, or was it already too late? Suddenly, the power surged in the air, crackling like electricity. And in that moment, fate swung wide open with a promise of revelation or disaster. What truth awaited them beyond the storm? The figure stepped further into the barn, its laugh twisting like a dagger in Clara's heart. Ah, Clara, you never wanted to look, did you? Every word dripped with malice, yet carried a heavy weight of familiarity. The twins squeezed her tighter, sensing the dread that seeped into the air. Clara felt a burgeoning panic. This wasn't just a voice from her past, it was a reminder of choices she had made, of doors she had shut. Get away from us! David shouted, stepping forward, instinctively positioning himself as a barrier between Clara and the shadowy figure. What do you want? Want? The figure echoed, a twisted smile flickering to life across its face. Oh, it's not about what I want, it's what you've denied all these years. What you thought you could erase. Clara's mind raced as she took a step back, her heart pounding against her ribs. She could feel the weight of memories, dredged up from deep within her, threatening to drown her. No. I didn't erase anything, her voice faltered, but she summoned the courage. I made the right choice. Did you? The figure took a languid step forward, and the shadows in the barn swirled, as if alive. Choices have a way of coming back to collect their debts. Your children are at the center of it all. Stop! Clara shouted, raising her voice in fierce defiance, even as she trembled inside. You don't get to threaten us. Whatever you think you know, it's not true. A flicker of irritation crossed the figure's face, then a chilling calm descended. You should be careful with your words, Clara. What if they are the last ones you'll ever get to say? Lightning flashed again, illuminating the figure's eyes, which sparkled with a terrible knowingness. If only she could reach for the hammer that lay within arm's length, she thought, she could end this. But she didn't want to escalate the tension. Not when her children were so close. David turned sharply, seeking refuge in the dimness of the barn. We need a plan, he whispered, his eyes darting around. We can't let them take control. What do you think they want? Clara asked, her voice shaking but low enough to keep the figure from overhearing. I don't know, David replied, studying the stranger's movements. But we can't wait to find out. You need to keep the twins close while before he could finish, the figure burst out laughing again, loud and mocking, reverberating through the wood like rolling thunder. My dear David, you think you have the upper hand? You're all part of a game much larger than you can fathom. The barn roared with chaos as thunder cracked overhead. "It's time, Clara." The figure insisted, both inviting and demanding. "You must decide. Are you going to hide forever, or face the truth that has come knocking?" "No." Clara shot back, her voice shaking but firm. "I refuse to give you any power over me or my children." "A noble defiance," the figure replied, tilting its head with twisted fascination. "But how long can you run before the storm catches up?" Lightning struck, illuminating the figure's face in stark relief and leaving a burning imprint in Clara's mind. Her breath quickened as the weight of the figure's words crashed over her. Suddenly, a new noise erupted from the darkness, a loud bang followed by a series of heavy thuds. Clara's heart stopped. Something was approaching. "Get ready," David whispered urgently, positioning himself protectively in front of the twins. What emerged from the shadows sent a jolt of fear through Clara. Was this another shadow of her past, or something far worse? "Mom!" Jack shrieked, tugging at Clara's arm. "What's happening?" With her heart racing, Clara could only whisper back, "I don't know," as the reality of the moment pressed down like the weight of the storm above them, but deep inside, she felt a flicker of determination ignite. The truth, whatever it was, could no longer be hidden. Would she find the strength to face it, or would the storm tear everything she loved away? The figure smiled wider, sensing her hesitation. It was clear this was only the beginning. And somewhere in the distance, the storm raged on. What would Clara uncover when the world she had built began to crumble like the barn around her? The figure stepped closer, shadows merging with the chaos of the storm. Clara felt the weight of the moment, every heartbeat echoing inside her chest like a war drum. The specter of her past lingered, grotesque and haunting. Yet in that darkness, a quiet strength blossomed, a resolve she had buried deep since the day she first brought those twins home. "Clara," the figure hissed, power lingering in the air like a charged current. "Isn't it time you accepted who you are? Who your children truly are?" Clara tightened her grip around Emma and Jack, their innocent lives now entwined with the mysteries of a legacy she desperately wished to keep from them. "I will never let you hurt them," she declared, her voice steady despite the quaking foundations around her. "Protect them? From what? The truth? The darkness isn't out to harm them, it wants to set them free." David shifted slightly, positioning himself closer to Clara, a solid wall of determination against the encroaching shadows. "Stay away from them," he shouted, but the figure merely laughed, a chilling sound that sliced through Clara's defenses. "Every moment you delay is a moment lost," it taunted, gestures sweeping towards the twins. "The storm is more than a tempest, it's a catalyst. It has arrived to bring forth what you've kept hidden." Suddenly, the door slammed open, a ferocious gust seizing the dim light within the barn, swirling it into a whirlpool of fear. Outside, crackling energy illuminated forms shifting in the storm, figures in darkness, drawn to the very heartbeat of the storm. "Clara!" David urged, panic igniting urgency in his voice. "We need to act. Now. Where do we go?" Clara asked, a flood of emotions washing over her: love, fear, loyalty, defiance. "What do we do?" David met her eyes, raw and intense. "We find the truth." But the sinister figure merely chuckled again, taking a step forward, shadows stretching dangerously. "You can't choose to accept the truth or run from it, Clara. The choice belongs to the twins now." Clara felt the air grow electric around her, and in a heartbeat, she recognized the truth. The choice wasn't hers to make anymore. The storm howled, and the darkness seethed, testing her resolve. "Jack! Emma!" She turned urgently to them, eyes fierce and pleading. "You have the power to choose. What do you want?" The twins exchanged glances, their expressions shifting. "We want to be safe," Emma whispered, her voice trembling. "What if being safe means accepting who you are?" David posed, seeking to guide them while still facing the menacing figure. Jack's brows knitted, confusion playing across his features. Who are we? The yearning for belonging and identity swam in their innocent eyes. The figure leaned into the shadows. You will learn soon enough, children. The blood of ancestors runs deep, and with it, comes the legacy meant to be claimed. No! Clara screamed, feeling desperation spill from her. I won't let you take them. Just watch, the figure sneered, stepping back. Lightning split the sky, and with each jagged flash, the barn trembled as if the storm had life of its own. Shadows began to rise, forming shapes almost too real echoes of former selves. Mom, it's too much. Jack cried, grabbing Emma's hand tighter. Then, in a moment that felt like an eternity stretched thin, David rushed forward. No! He shouted, taking a stand against the shadows that crept closer. I will protect you both. Fighting back will achieve nothing, the figure gloated, revealing the truth it had darkly hinted at. You may have eluded the past, but it finds a way to claw back. It is time for your children to awaken. Suddenly, a shriek pierced the air, a sound that mixed raw energy and terror. Clara recognized it. It was her scream, echoing with the despair of her past. The darkness surged, wrapping tendrils around the twins, whispering secrets of power, of legacy, of who they were meant to be. No! Clara cried out, stepping forward despite the constricting shadows. This is not who we are. Mom! They whimpered. But deep inside, Clara felt it, a flicker of energy igniting in her chest. She felt the impact of generations connecting through her very being. Her voice broke the chaos, firm as a shield. You are my children. Your power is not a curse, it's your gift. With those words, the shadows hesitated, caught in a moment of uncertainty. Clara stepped boldly forward, reaching out her arms wide, embracing both twins. Together, we claim who we are. Together, we break this cycle. The storm roared even louder, and bolts of lightning split the night sky as an unseen energy surged through Clara and into the twins. The shadows froze, recoiling from the warmth of their combined light, their laughter ceasing as Clara's words filled the barn like a sacred incantation. Together! She cried, echoing through the storm. The twins, suddenly empowered, stood taller, their small hands reaching out, drawing in the strength from their mother. In a moment of clarity, Clara saw. The storm was not just a force to be feared, it was a vessel of truth. The twins smiled confidently, eyes shimmering with power. We choose to stand. They declared in unison, an echo flowing in the air, intertwining with Clara's fierce love. The clash erupted like an atomic bomb, with blinding light erupting from their combined force. The shadows trembled, dissolving back into the night as the storm howled, unleashing a fury so powerful it splintered the skies, bringing forth the dawn. Clara and the twins stood together, their figures silhouetted against the rising light, hearts beating in sync, constellations woven into fate's tapestry. The darkness had been forced to retreat, but it would always be there. A reminder of their blood ties, yes, but also of their legacy, their choice. Hand in hand, they stepped toward new beginnings, leaving the remnants of the storm and shadows behind. Clara took a deep breath, releasing the weight of years. Maybe it was time to embrace the unknown instead of running from it. They had battled the darkness together, and in that shared light, Clara saw the path to the future emerge, bright and unwavering. And the whispers of the dawn, the townsfolk began to stir, watching from a distance with bated breath. The ominous storm had ended, but what lay ahead for the widow and her adopted twins was a story yet to be woven. Let them talk, Clara murmured, a smile breaking across her face as she glanced at Emma and Jack. We have our own journey now. With spirits renewed, they turned away from the barn, leaving the whispers of the storm behind. Together, they stepped into a new day, hearts intertwined, a family built not just on blood, but on choices made with love. As they walked towards the horizon, Clara felt lighter, ready to embrace whatever came next. For in the depths of truth screams the fierce determination of a mother to protect, and the courage of children to reclaim who they were meant to be. And in that moment, Clara understood anything was possible when faced together. Time to face the day. If you loved this electrifying conclusion, you need to subscribe now and never miss out on the next chapter of exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support by smashing that like button now to fuel the algorithm. We want to hear from you. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about what this ending means. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to join in on the excitement. Your voice makes all the difference.